Hello, and welcome to the North Carolina Museum of History. The presentation will begin in just a moment, but we want to start with a few notes. Explore additional resources available at nc-aacc.com. We thank the following sponsors of the North Carolina Museum of History Foundation, helping to make this event possible.
Good afternoon and welcome back to the 21st African American Cultural Celebration. Again, I am your host, Sandra Dubose, and now I have the pleasure to introduce this super cool performance. This is the United Strings of Color. Say hi, y'all. Hey, these young people are just so incredibly talented. Let me tell you what you're about to witness. The Philharmonic Association's United Strings of Color Youth Quartet was formed in 2018 to inspire and encourage all young people to pursue classical music. The group seeks to address racial disparity in classical music while delivering into the intersection between societal issues and music. When the members of the United Strings of Color Youth Quartet were growing up, they were only taught European-centric folk tales, such as Hansel and Gretel, Cinderella, and Jack and the Beanstalk. We all know those. There is a wealth of stories from African cultures that are unknown to American children. Local jazz musician, writer, and visual artist Elmer Gibson has adapted a Yoruba folk tale, The Tortoise, and the Wisdom of the World. And he set it to his original music for the string quartet, which is so freaking awesome. This performance you're about to see of Ijapa and Mr. Igbin, as renamed by Mr. Gibson, includes narration by my good friend, Henry Lovett. You're gonna love him. It includes music and projected artwork from Poe Elementary students, isn't it? Well, you'll see it in just a minute, but the artwork was done by the students, which is so cool. All the characters are animals and give us a non-human viewpoint of the world. Viewing the world through the eyes of animals offers an approach that is in tune with nature and the needs of all creatures. From that basis, environmental justice can flourish. The central message of this tale, if you are filled with pride, you have no room for wisdom, encapsulates the folly of our human habit of ignoring the wisdom of the natural world and damaging our only home. Now, who would do something like that? Listen, gather everybody around because you are going to enjoy this wonderful presentation. Here we have the United Strings of Color. Enjoy.
Many, many years ago, on the coast of West Africa, there lived a group of people who called themselves Yoruba. The Yoruba kingdom controlled a large area of southwest Nigeria, which they called Yoruba land. It stretched from the coastal plains of the Gulf of Guinea eastward into the rainforest. They were hardworking, well-organized farmers. They were also great artisans who cast lifelike sculptures in bronze, magnificent wood carvings, and created beautiful indigo-dyed cloth. They were great musicians, drummers, dancers, and storytellers. In Yoruba land, there is a very old, well-known folk tale that features the plight of a young but extremely prideful tortoise. The name for tortoise in Yoruba culture is Ijapa, and around the world in religions, mythology, and folklore, Ijapa is a symbol of steadfastness and tranquility. Tortoises are turtles that cannot swim, so they do not live near large bodies of water, but prefer areas close to a desert where it is hot and dry. In this climate, they live long lives and by old age grow to be very large. On land, Ijapa move about very slowly, but are known as smart manipulators who can figure their way out of any sticky situation. In Yoruba land, there is a legend that says, the longer you live, the more knowledge you gain, and the wiser you become. So, the other animals consider them to be the wisest of all animals. But in Yoruba land, there is also an old African proverb that teaches, if you are filled with pride, you have no room for wisdom. There is a Yoruba folktale about a tortoise and a snail that goes like this. Many years ago, there was a young tortoise named Ijapa. who lived in an area close to a desert lined with towering palm trees. All his life, he had heard the legend of the wise tortoise and wondered if he too was blessed with the gift of wisdom. He thought perhaps the other animals could tell him if he was wise. So he decided to ask the most intelligent animals in the jungle if they thought he was wise, and set off on his journey for wisdom. He searched the hills and the valleys. He searched the jungles and the fields. Until one day he came upon Kinium, the lion, resting in the shade. Walking right up to him, Ijapa said, "Mr. Kinium, I have been hoping to find you." The lion yawned, and looking at the young tortoise replied, "You are quite young, Ijapa. Why have you been searching for me?" "I have 2 questions to ask." What might they be, little Ijapa?" "First, are you the king of the jungle? And second, can you tell me if I am the wisest in Yoruba land?" Very interesting indeed. Why, yes, I am the king of the jungle. And yes, Ijapa, you are the wisest. Now may I go back to sleep?" "Yes, Mr. Kinium, and thank you." That was easy, Ijapa thought, as he walked away to continue his search. He searched high and low, and after a while he came upon Owiwi the owl, perched on a tree limb. He walked up close to the tree and said, "I have been hoping to find you, Mr. Owiwi." The owl, looking down at the young tortoise, replied, "Who, me?" "Yes, you, Mr. Owiwi." "What do you want of me, Ijapa?" "I have heard you are very wise, and I would like to ask you a question." "Why, yes, I am wise, Ijapa. So, what is it, your very important question?" "I would like to know, Mr. Owiwi, if I am the wisest in Yoruba land." I will answer, yes, Ijapa. Even as young as you are, as everyone knows, Ijapa are the wisest. "Thank you, Mr. Owiwi." He turned away beaming with confidence and swelled with pride, and made his way to a path where he continued his search. He trudged up a long, steep hill that took him above the jungle. Among the rocky landscape, he saw a lone tree, and way up at the top of the tree, he saw Mr. Edie the eagle sitting on a branch and called up to him. "Hello, Mr. Edie. I have been hoping to find you." The eagle looked down from his perch at the precocious young tortoise, took a moment, and said, "I watched you as you came up the hill, little Ijapa, and wondered why you worked so hard. What can I do for you?" "I know that you fly high enough in the sky to see the whole jungle, and I have a question to ask of you." You are correct, little Ijapa. What is your question? Can you tell me if I am the wisest in the jungle? I can tell this is a very important question for you. I will answer it this way. Perhaps in this jungle, little Ijapa, you may be the wisest. But I know of many other jungles, mountains, and valleys around Africa that are home to many other different animals than you have here. He paused to choose his words carefully, not wanting to crush the youngster's spirit, and said, "So I don't know if you are the wisest in the world." Suddenly, Ijapa stopped smiling and in a sorrowful voice managed to say, "Thank you, Mr. Edie." Shocked by the eagle's answer and disappointed by the thought he might not be the wisest, he turned to walk down the hill, and with his head hung low, Ijapa wondered, "I don't have wings like Mr. Edie, so how will I prove I am the wisest in the world?" He thought and thought as he headed home. One day, he finally came up with an idea. If I can't travel the whole world to make sure I am the wisest creature in the whole universe, then I will search all of Yoruba land and gather all the wisdom for myself. Having no idea how large Yoruba land was, he left his home and set off on his journey. Ijapa traveled around Yorubaland for 2 years, collecting all the wisdom he found, and sealed it in a gourd which he hung around his neck. When he finally satisfied that he found all the wisdom, he returned home. Soon, however, he began to worry that someone wanting to be the wisest might want to steal wisdom from his gourd. So he decided to hide the gourd someplace where no one would find it. Being a smart manipulator, he thought it best to select a place where no one would even suspect he could hide it. After pondering the perfect hiding place for a while, it came to him. Aha! I will hide the gourd near the desert, at the top of a very tall palm tree. No one will ever think to look up there. To get to the top, however, was an almost impossible feat for a tortoise. But using all his wisdom, he devised a plan. To keep from losing his balance, he tied a rope around himself with the gourd hanging from his neck. Then he tied the rope around the tree in such a way that he could haul himself up. However, the gourd was between him and the tree trunk, which made it difficult for him to get a good grip on the tree with his claws. He would make a little progress up the tree and slide right back down. Being very determined, he made many attempts to climb the palm tree. Meanwhile, Mr. Ibn, the snail, was passing by and, seeing Ijapa's struggle, stopped to watch the tortoise. He watched Ijapa inch his way up the trunk, only to slide down the tree yet again. Finally, Ibn called out, "Ijapa, why don't you throw the gourd behind you instead of hanging it in front?" Ijapa was so frustrated, without thinking, he tied the gourd behind him and easily climbed to the top of the tree. I can't see that. I can't see it. My glasses. As he was about to fasten the gourd onto the tree, he realized in a flash his efforts to own all the wisdom of the world had been a failure, and he cried aloud, "I am not the wisest! I am not the wisest! Even though I have collected all the wisdom in the world, I am not the wisest." Sobbing, he looked down at the snail and said, "Mr. Ibn, even though you are much smaller and slower than I, you have proven that you are much wiser than I." In a fit of anger and disgust, he threw the gourd to the ground, where it broke into many pieces, allowing all the wisdom he had collected to escape back into the world. From that day onward, there was a saying in the jungle that Ijapa the tortoise is wise, but Mr. Ibn the snail is wiser. So, if you want to become wise, remember the African proverb, if you are filled with pride, you will have no room for wisdom.
Give it up once again for the United Strings of Color. You guys are amazing, absolutely amazing. Please tell me your name and where you're from.
My name is Taylor Murphy, and I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina.
Taylor Murphy representing Raleigh, North Carolina.
I'm C.T. Thomas from Raleigh, North Carolina.
C.T. Thomas from Raleigh, North Carolina, sir.
Sterling Elliott from Raleigh, North Carolina.
Sterling Elliott from Raleigh, North Carolina.
Lexi Etienne from Raleigh, North Carolina.
Lexi Etienne from Raleigh, North Carolina. Raleigh's in the house. These amazing young people, weren't they wonderful? I mean, it's always so exciting to see our young people being so versatile. There is nothing that we cannot do. We like all kinds of music, whether it's classical, hip hop, whatever. And I know you were surprised because in North Carolina, we have our very own James Earl Jones. Did you know that? Did you see that? Henry Lovett, that's my boy. King Jeffrey Jafra, right? Is his mic on? Give me some more of that. Give me
I'm looking for my son Hakeem.
He's looking for Hakeem. Have y'all seen Hakeem? Keep going. I love it.
My son works.
My son works.
Let them wait. I'm talking to my son.
He's talking to his son. Every time I see Mr. Henry, we got to go into it. We have to go into it. One of our favorite movies. I hope you're enjoying yourself because we absolutely are. But the day's not over. We've got a lot more great performances coming. So at 2 p.m., come on right back here. We have the Whistle Stop Tours. So go take a bathroom break, get you something to eat. Come on back. We'll see you at 2 o'clock. Peace.